Wakey, wakey, hands off sneaky. You know what time it is. It's your Saturday morning hangover cure. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Get that coffee maker going. Start firing up those eggs and bacon or sausage.
Need the grease. Need to get that into your system to flush out all the toxins with other toxins.
That's right. Get the toast going. Absorb
Yes.
the leftover alcohol that's in there.
Yes, the stomach acid, all the nasty stuff.
And while all that's going, pop a couple aspirin and a glass of cold water.
And then you
start rehydrating yourself.
And you listen to us. Because we're here to guide you through, to let you know what you should do for the rest of your weekend, what to listen to, what to watch, what to read.
And what to avoid.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And of course, every Saturday morning we start off with what?
Rock. Music, baby. Live music, we have it.
The final concert review of 2023 here on the weekend edition. And I am very, very, very disappointed in the local community for the turnout for this show.
Chris Isaak, his It's Almost Christmas tour came through locally. And if there were over 500 people at the venue, I would be surprised.
Yeah, and I think you're being generous.
Yeah. It was the lowest attended show I've ever been to. And it was sad. I felt bad for Chris Isaak that more people didn't turn out for this event.
Yeah.
Granted, it was the night before Thanksgiving, but still, that's no excuse to not come see a legend.
Well, and of course, normally at that time of year, last weekend, we would have been on Black Friday going to see Jackal.
Right.
Down in Indianapolis. And somehow in Black Friday, Jackal gets thousands of people packed into 8 Second Saloon.
Yeah. But this year, not Black Friday, it was on Thanksgiving night.
Right. So I don't think the holiday situation should be used as an excuse for the fact that, once again, this area turns out to be piss poor when it comes to supporting concerts and artists. It's just awful.
It's pretty bad.
I'm so tired of, well, drive to 2 hours to Chicago, drive to 2 hours to Grand Rapids, drive the 2 hours to Indy, drive the hour and a half to Fort Wayne. How about we just fucking have shows here?
We shouldn't have to.
And again, as Dave mentioned, embarrassing for Chris Isaak that we couldn't get more people to that show. Two things before we get into the show itself. Number one, when we walked up to the balcony, now the Lerner Theater where we saw Chris Isaak in Elkhart, Indiana, Lerner holds about 2,000 people, roughly.
Roughly right around there.
We didn't know until we walked up the stairs to the balcony where we had our seats. And the usher, she looked at our tickets and said, well, I can show you to your seats, but you can basically sit wherever you want. And then once we walked in and looked at the balcony and saw maybe 50 people in the balcony that seated 800, 900.
Yeah, it was bad. So, of course, we did move down closer.
Yeah, so we had fine seats, but again, Mrs. C kind of like stuck the knife in and twisted it.
Yeah.
When she said, oh, by the way, I went to a resale site. This was about 5 minutes before the show started. She said,
yeah,
we could have got tickets here for $7.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way. We paid almost 10 times that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
but,
again, embarrassing for Chris Isaak, embarrassing for our community that we can't get more people out to see a great show like this. And it was a great show.
It was fantastic. The band sounded phenomenal. Chris Isaak's voice, iconic, strong. He's hilarious. Tells great stories in between.
Bloodworms. Only place open was a Vietnamese bait shop. He's the best.
He is awesome.
And again, like Dave said, he sounds so crisp, so clean with his voice still to this day. Came up into the balcony off to the side early on.
Yeah.
And then walked down, if you were down on the lower deck, lower level.
He kind of walked through.
And his guitar player did the same thing later on.
Yeah.
But
just very cool show.
Yeah. Didn't overwhelm us with the Christmas stuff.
Nope. We were looking forward to hearing Melikaliki Maka.
Yeah, that was the one disappointing.
And that was the one he didn't play.
The one disappointing omission of the night was I wore my Hawaiian shirt just so I could hear his fantastic rendition of Melikaliki Maka, and he did not do it. Now,
alas.
He played all of his other really cool Christmas songs, though. Almost Christmas. I love that one.
Yeah, very good.
They're talking about shopping at the last second.
Yep.
And then the dogs
love Christmas too.
Yeah. Two of his best. But he did not skimp on his old classics. We got Wicked Game early on.
Much earlier than I expected.
Yep. Got Speak of the Devil, Blue Hotel, San Francisco Days. So
yeah, it was
about an hour and 35 minutes set.
Yeah.
But he still worked in well over 20 songs.
Yeah, so good. Very enjoyable. If you get a chance, you have got to see him.
Yep. And of course he mentioned the dog shelter.
Yeah.
Issue. Brought out little cute dog named Heavy?
Yeah, he ain't heavy. He's my brother.
Yeah. To highlight, get out there and adopt. Don't go through the breeding mills, the pet stores. You get to the shelters and get an animal who's been abandoned, and you will get a friend for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Chris Isaak, the dude has got a heart of gold. He is awesome. He's got a voice like an angel. He is awesome. I appreciate the fact that the Conquistador and Mrs. C actually trusted me when I begged them. I said, we've got to go see Chris Isaak. And of course, it bit me in the ass, but
hey, whatever. It was a great show. He'd been on the list of singers that I've wanted to see.
Yep.
Opportunity happened, and it was a great show. Unfortunately, not enough people partook.
Yep. Yeah, so I would give it 3.5 frenzies.
Easily, yes.
Yeah, it was a great show.
A good time.
Yeah, and again, they could have pulled a cheap trick on us. Of course, Dave and I are very bitter about the times we've seen bands who have come out, they've seen the crowd, looked at what they were getting, and they said, we're going to cut the set short and we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
That's why we call it a cheap trick.
Yeah.
It's because Cheap Trick did that to us in Maryville at the Star Plaza Theater.
Yeah, we didn't even get an hour and 15 out of them.
Right. So give kudos to Chris Isaak going over an hour and a half.
Yep.
He didn't have to. Still put on his full show.
Yeah, but the crowd was very much into it.
Yes, the people that were there were very appreciative.
Yeah.
Very appreciative. Yes, and I will give you guys again credit. You guys were right there front and center. I heard you every time. You could jump in and applaud.
Oh, yeah, because you had to make up for the lack
you need
of the lack of crowd who was there had to really show their appreciation that he's still coming out and performing.
I will remember. I'm kind of thinking of a past show you and I saw. Now, this show was almost sold out. So it wasn't like it was needed. But when we saw Alice in Chains years ago
Oh.
at the Morris.
Yeah.
The one guy yelled out, "Thank you for coming here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to our area for this show."
Yeah.
Now, that was almost a sold-out show. So he
Yeah.
didn't have to do that.
No.
But that's how pathetic this area is.
Yeah.
And I actually give that guy props and kudos for trying. That's what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we tried to do for Chris Isaak, is like, dude, don't judge the rest of this society here in this area based on these idiots who didn't turn out.
Yeah.
We care about
those
rock and
who
roll.
are here showed him the love.
Yes. And again, just pisses
It's
me
frustrating.
off. Pisses me off beyond belief. But again, a great, great show. As Dave said, go out, see Chris Isaak. He is awesome.
You will not be disappointed.
Funny, great songs. You'll probably know more songs than you think you do.
Yeah, you will.
Yep.
All right, album review time.
A complete 180.
Yes. Dare we say a pivot?
We go from the smooth, dulcet Elvis, Roy Orbison-like tones of Chris Isaak
to the screaming
banshee.
coarse
He's like a banshee.
The banshee.
But we love him.
Yeah, Jesse James Dupree solo album, Breathing Fire. Special guest Brian Johnson on a couple of songs.
Yep.
So 10 songs, little over 38 minutes. You're not going to have a Grammy Award-winning song from Jesse. It's a fact. You're going to have fun with it, though.
Yep.
And that's what this one is.
You can look at it in many different ways. You can look at it as it's not Jackal. You can tell the group dynamic isn't really there. Now, towards the end, I thought you started to hear a little bit more of the old Jackal, dirty, nasty vibe.
Yeah.
But like you said, you got that AC/DC influence
Yeah.
that really permeates
Heavy.
the album.
Heavy.
Really He sounds literally like Bon Scott.
Yes. Yes.
He sounds like Bon Scott.
He sounds a lot like Bon Scott. Especially It's Not Love.
Yes. Yep.
That's where it really shines through.
Yep. And of course, it's ironic again. We're mentioning Brian Johnson, who had a hand on a couple of these songs, but Jesse James Dupree literally sounds like he's channeling Bon Scott.
Yeah.
On a couple of these songs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, the interesting thing is, I was trying to look and see who wrote the songs, and it kind of shocked me. The ones that I thought Brian Johnson might have had a hand in, he didn't. Even though they sounded like AC/DC songs. Yeah. Now, the one thing that disappointed me was they recycled an old Jackal song that he wrote. Kill the Sunshine is actually off an old Jackal album. Now, that was back when Jesse James Dupree and Brian Johnson first forged their friendship.
Yeah.
So he brought that one back in again. I wasn't a fan of that. I don't want recycled, rehashed stuff.
No, and it's okay.
And it's not even one of their best songs.
No, it's not. It's
right.
Just there.
But now Brian Johnson co-wrote the first single, Never Gets Old, of course. We've reviewed that.
Yep.
And then he, along with Jimmy Nail, I don't know who the hell Jimmy Nail is.
I don't either.
But they wrote the closing track, which I loved Rapidi Papa.
I did not care for it.
My God!
The first time I heard it, it was just okay.
Oh my God!
But the more you listen to it, the better it gets.
I love Rapidi Papa. It's my favorite song on the album. Because I don't want the clean, polished Jesse James Dupree. I need him more ragged. That's why towards the end of the album, I was really getting into it more.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the first 4 songs kick ass.
Oh,
absolutely
my God.
Kick ass.
Now, I think my favorite on here kicks it off with Lay It On Me.
Very good. Very
That
good.
just,
Top 3
it
for me.
comes
Top 3.
out and just hits you.
Yep.
It sets the tone.
Yep.
And it's probably some of his smoothest vocals.
Yeah.
For him,
yeah,
for
exactly.
what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
right. He's got a very gravelly,
yeah.
Again, a Bon Scott, Brian Johnson type of voice.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. It's a fantastic song. See, I was going to go with It's Not Love. I think It's Not Love
Oh,
is
It's
phenomenal.
Not Love is a lot of fun, too.
Rodeo. That probably
And
next to Rappity Papa is my favorite.
And like we said, It's Not Love is where he sounds the most like Bon Scott.
Yeah. Yep. I thought, again, in the middle is where we're seeing this with a lot of these albums lately we reviewed. The middle is soft. I think from Stranded through Over My Dead Body.
Yeah, see, I kind of like Stranded.
It was okay. It was. I didn't hate. Let's put it this way: I did not hate any of the songs.
No,
again,
some
"Kill
of
the
them,
Sunshine" is a recycled old Jackal song,
Yeah.
so I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Give me an original tune.
Yeah. Born to Ride the Lightning. It kind of grows on you. There's a couple of cute little lyrics in there.
Again, it's got an AC/DC vibe.
Yeah.
Again.
And then Over My Dead Body.
Not bad.
Okay.
Again, not bad. And then is I was getting into
Then
White Flag. I love
was-
White Flag.
The more you hear, that's
Again, I like the dirty, down and dirty, nasty, old Jesse James Jackal vibe, like the last 2 songs I think give you. Even though that last song is a Brian Johnson partial composition.
Right.
But White Flag, I love the way the album ends with White Flag and Rappity Papa.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the clean, let's just rock out and talk about how awesome rock and sex are. I like something a little different. And White Flag has that little subversive vibe to it.
Yeah, kind of like the Down on Me. And
it's just something different.
You get that little innuendo stuff rocking in there. And
your White Flag's got a stain on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like the imagery, you're surrendering, but it doesn't necessarily fit. It's just something a little different than the base. Never gets old having sex and rock and roll. Again, great song, but you got to take it for what it is. Yes. Yep. Again, that's why I love It's Not Love, because the comparisons he makes.
It's not love.
8 seconds on the bull. It's not love. It's a very, very well written song.
Yeah.
So this was more fun than a lot of the albums that we've listened to this year.
This is a lot better than a lot of what we've listened to.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's a top 3, top 5 album of the year.
No,
and
it's
of course,
not.
we'll get to that in about a month.
Yep.
That's coming up. But I'll give it a strong 3 Frenzies.
Absolutely. It could have gone 3.5 if you'd have hit 2 other songs. 3 if you want to replace Kill the Sunshine.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's about right. That's a good assessment. Again,
it's not disappointing at all.
I'm obsessing about the fact that for some ridiculous reason, again, I think it's because he brought Brian Johnson in here again for a couple of these songs. He felt like he had to redo Kill the Sunshine.
Yeah, and it didn't need to be done.
No. Now, we should note that this album is basically a trio. He brought Roman Glick in from Jackal to play bass. On drums, his son.
Yeah. Who was a former drummer for the band Waylon that opened for them, I think, the first time we saw them down at the 8 Second Saloon.
Yeah, before they switched over to Spanky's Playground.
Yeah, because his son moved on from Waylon to another band.
Yeah, his son Nigel T. Dupree.
Yep.
So very cool. Keep it in the family.
That's awesome.
Yep. So I don't. Maybe that's why he thought he could get away with doing "Kill the Sunshine" again instead of it being the Jackal vibe. He's got this different dynamic going.
Group. Yeah.
Still don't like the song. I still don't think it's a great song.
No, it's not.
But for the most part, everything else.
It's the weak link on there.
Yeah, for the most part, everything else on Breathing Fire is awesome.
Yes.
So check that one out, kids. All right, couple new songs for you. We cannot find the Geddy Lee stuff yet.
Nope.
Even though it was promised that it would be out.
Yeah, still not available. So, which one you want to do?
Start with the good stuff. Let's go with The Priest.
Yep.
Second single from the upcoming 2024 album Invincible Shield is Trial by Fire, which I liked a lot more.
Yes, this is definitely better than the first single that we reviewed.
Yeah, Panic Attack.
Yeah.
And the more I listen to Panic Attack, I'm getting into it a little bit more, but Trial by Fire is more of your, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, more of your standard, straight on, head-banging Judas Priest.
Yes. Lyrically, it's great.
Yeah.
You got your nice guitar riffs going on in there.
Rob Halford with the great vocal.
Oh my God.
I have suffered trial by fire.
Still sounds good.
Yes, it's amazing how good he sounds. And of course, in May of 2024, we will have our review of Judas Priest and the Invincible Shield tour.
We are taking my boys to see them for the third time.
Yep. So I'm encouraged by the first two songs so far. Sounds like pretty solid. I don't want to say run of the mill, but dependable Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Yes. I will give Trial by Fire, again, a solid 3 frenzies.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if I can even go close to that with the latest from David Lee Roth, though.
High Fashion Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't get into it. I could not get into it.
No, it was...
I don't know what it was supposed to be. It's an acoustic...
It's just...
It's an acoustic mess, is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he thinks he's being clever.
There's no cohesion to it
It's not catchy.
No, there's nothing catchy about it.
No.
It started off, okay, maybe this could go somewhere, and then it just dived into the abyss from hell.
Yeah, it's just like noodling around lyrically.
Yeah, nothing rhymes.
Musically.
There's no cohesion to what he's doing.
No. A weak 1.5 frenzies.
Yeah. Yeah. Avoid High Fashion Girl.
Yeah. And again, he's putting out stuff basically almost every week, it seems like, lately. And we have another one for next week. But
yes, we do.
But again, it would be nice to see him put out the album with all this stuff.
Yeah, just
so we could listen to it
Dave.
In its full, see the sequence of songs, see how he would put it together.
Yeah, maybe things would make more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because some of these songs are great. The Shit That Killed Elvis was great.
Yeah.
But again, we get High Fashion Girl, which
kind of sucks.
Sounds like an awful B-side to Just Like Paradise.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would give it a B-side. I would say it should have been in the closet or on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's not that good. But again, next week we might get a better song from him, which we might have next week because the latest from David Lee Roth is out. Yes, your weekly David Lee Roth song is out. Wash and Fold.
Oh, God.
Wash and Fold is on the agenda for next week.
Ancient Chinese Secret.
I've listened to it. It's better.
Okay.
It's not up to the level of the Shit That Killed Elvis, but at least it's better than High Fashion Girl.
It wouldn't take much.
We have new Blackberry Smoke. Hammer and the Nail. The third single from their upcoming album. We have new Ace Frehley.
Oh my.
very interesting how he releases the album art, the track list, and the first single from his upcoming album, 10,000 Volts, as we get ready for this weekend, the final Kiss show of all time. And of course, Ace drops all this just a few days before, I'm sure bitterly trying to distract people from that, because he said there's no way in hell he will show up for the final show.
And there you go.
Terrible, awful, egos,
Yep.
the bitterness involved, just
crazy. So what is the song?
10,000 Volts.
It's 10,000 volts. Okay.
Yes, 10,000 Volts. Now, for an album review next week, we might want to split, and I have an idea. It's up to you. I will put it in the Conquistador's court.
All right. What are our options?
All right. I am going to review the new Peter Gabriel album, I.O. If you would prefer, now I would still at some point like to listen to and review the album, but if you would prefer to stay away from Peter Gabriel,
I am not a Peter Gabriel fan in any way,
then why
shape,
don't
or
you
form.
go ahead and review the new Struts album?
I could do that.
Now, again, I want to listen to it at some point and review it, but
we could hold off on the Struts.
Do you have another one?
I will find something.
You sure?
I will find something.
I don't want to throw you under the bus.
If I can find something,
I've been looking forward
fine.
to this Peter Gabriel album for a long time. And again, I know it's not your cup of tea.
Yep. I will see if I can find something.
Okay, if you can't, though, go ahead and review the Struts. Because I have a little bit of a schedule for us, because we got Dirty Honey.
Right.
Which I definitely want to listen to here in the next couple weeks. Got a Christmas album.
So we can save the Struts. I will see if I can come up with something else. There's one or two things.
Because I do want to review it. Yeah. I do.
There's a couple things that have been popping that I want to take a listen to a little deeper. That probably are not going to be in your wheelhouse.
There you go. Yes, and that makes perfect sense. But again, I've been waiting for this Peter Gabriel album all fucking year, as he's been releasing a new song every new moon.
Yeah.
And now finally the album's coming out, and most of the stuff I've heard I like, but it's mellow, might not be your cup of tea. So,
very few of his songs do I care for.
Let's put it this way. You're not getting Sledgehammer. You're not getting Big Time.
That's fine. I didn't care for those.
Yeah, this is more introspective, mellow stuff. But I liked it. I really liked a lot of what I heard. So, we'll see.
See, probably the only song of his that I've liked is Salisbury Hill.
Yeah, see, this is more like that vibe. This is more...
So...
Yeah.
But yeah, Sledge...
No, he's not doing that whole Sledgehammer, trying to be hip, cool, 80s dance vibe stuff.
Yeah.
No, this is more musings on mortality, that type of thing. A little bit mellow. I know that doesn't sound like, oh, let's dance, party time, musings on mortality.
Yeah.
But no, sometimes you gotta draw it back a little bit, mellow out, and again, what I've heard is very good. But again,
we'll see where I wind up.
Yep.
One never knows.
So the next segment, kids, will be fun, because movies and books. Now, books, we're all set. We've got a mutual book review, and then Dave's got a bonus book review. But the movie segment will be fun. Now, Dave's going to play catch-up. I reviewed Blue Beetle last week, so he's going to give you his review. I'll chime in. And I will just say this about my movie review. For the first time ever in the years we've been doing this podcast, I'm cheating.
What?
I've cheated. I have cheated completely and totally. I have taken the rules of Sports Frenzy and disregarded them.
You son of a bitch.
You want to know how I cheated? You're going to have to stick around to find out. Dave and I will be right back. When the mindless zombies at the major sports networks won't leave you alone. When the forces of evil on local sports radio have you cornered. Load up the boomstick known as Sports Frenzy 2.0. Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. Kev Dave will drive the dull and boring voices in your head away and offer you the sports salvation you need. New episodes drop every Thursday. And don't forget the weekend edition every Saturday, where the maestro and the conquistador might just review your favorite horror flick. Sports Frenzy 2.0. It's groovy.
All right, kids. Hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit better now. The second segment of Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, is on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeartRadio.
Otherwise known as
Sports Frenzy 2.0.
You changed things up on me. You never do that. You always say I heart Sports Frenzy.
I know, I wanted to catch you off guard.
And then you read through them so quickly, it's ridiculous. Like you just had 15 cups of coffee. You throw me all off kilter, Dave.
I know. That's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Of course, that's the conquistador, Dave Height. Second segment.
Movies and books.
Yes. So this will be a very interesting segment here.
All right, let's play catch up. The Blue Beetle, DC. Why do we keep subjecting ourselves to DC superhero movies?
I would say right now it's both DC and Marvel.
Well, yeah. So why do we subject ourselves?
This is all feeding into, and I said this last week, now we maybe owe an apology to Martin Scorsese.
Perhaps we do, because this last 2 years have been abysmally bad, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Completely agree.
But
yeah, these superhero movies are not Endgame back.
No.
Once we got Endgame, it seems like
then they just said
they gave up.
Screw it.
They said let's just milk the cash cow.
Lazy writing.
Yep, let's milk the cash cow.
Everything's got to be PC. We've got to change gender on characters and blah blah blah. God, Blue Beetle had potential. Well, I will say the effects were phenomenal.
Well, off mic, tell the people what you told me off mic. You had some really good points about this movie. Now, I reviewed it last week, but you came up with some great points.
So, to me, why the hell did you have the family dynamic the way it was? It was pathetic. It was a joke. The kid goes to try and get a job, and in the background, the family's there chanting his name with everybody walking around. Ridiculous. The sister, horrible. Oh my God. What purpose did she really serve?
Again, I said that last week. I basically said it in much harsher terms. She should have died.
Yeah, she was just, useless. And then why are you making Nana, his abuela, grandma, a badass with the machine gun? And it
all points to lazy writing.
Absolutely lazy writing. It was just not good. The basis was there. The execution was shoddy.
Yeah. And now it scares me that James Gunn thinks that this character is good enough to carry forward into his version of the Marvel or the DC universe.
That scares me. That scares me that he's signing off on this. I didn't mind the actor playing it.
No, he was fine.
But the ancillary family and everything there was not needed.
And George Lopez. Oh my God. George Lopez was so over the top.
Again, this is Gunn. what were you thinking with this? It's not a Guardians type
Well,
situation.
it's not him, but the fact that he thinks that this character
Yeah,
can be pulled forward into his vision.
Yeah, signing off to
scares
bring
me.
it forward. It needs a major revamp for it to.
And I think I pointed out the two things that I did like was, number one, they brought in OMAC, which is a side character in the DC universe that I kind of was cool with them bringing in. And then at the very, very end, again, you have to stick
into the credits,
where they kind of, earlier in the movie, they explain the old Blue Beetle, which is the Blue Beetle that I know about. And again, wasn't a very integral character in the DC universe, but at least they took the time to explain
why the Blue Beetle was what it was.
Without the tech, without all the, the whole, scarab implanted in the back thing, Ted Cord.
Yeah, you got the whole
the
background and the history.
And then that ties into the credit scene.
Yes.
Which was cool, where there could be a future, but again, better writing is needed.
Much better writing. Cut the family.
Yeah, cut the family out completely.
You don't need it. This is one where you don't need that type of comic relief.
No.
The Blue Beetle is kind of a farce in and of itself, but they took it way too far.
If you looked at the scene, I won't spoil, but if you look at the scene where I'm talking about, where they're kind of explaining the past of Blue Beetle, and they kind of, like with the Bat Cave, show the old uniforms, the old costumes that the Blue Beetle wore in his original incarnation without all the tech.
Yeah.
There's one that's actually got a pillow.
Yeah.
Because Blue Beetle was a fat, overweight, out of shape, rich guy.
Yeah.
And that I kind of liked. And they kind of like throw that by the wayside after that and just say, here you go. Here's your nod to the old DC fan.
Yep.
Now we're going to go in this direction. So what do you give it?
I'll give... God, I'm bouncing between a 1.5 and a week 2. I've got to go 1.5.
Okay, that's what I gave it. Yeah. I guess I wouldn't have been offended if you'd given it a week 2.
I can't go that high though.
Yeah.
There's just too much downside to it to go there.
And I said it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So at least it's got that going for it.
I have yet to see that, and I probably won't now.
Don't subject yourself to that. Don't. Oh my God. All right,
you cheating bastard.
All right. We set some rules, some guidelines when we first started Sports Frenzy, in the weekend edition in particular. And we said that we're reviewing new movies we've never seen before. And if you watch an old movie
with a special circumstance,
then
there's a story behind it.
Yes. I watched a fucking movie just because I wanted to. And I don't have any story time behind it, other than the fact that I just wanted to watch this fucking movie again.
Well, there you go.
I watched The Nice Guys again.
Oh my God.
I had to. I wanted to. God help me, I needed to. And it was glorious. It was brilliant again.
You had to see it because of watching the trailer for The Fall Guy, didn't you?
Well, it's not story time. I don't think it warrants story time, but on Thanksgiving, we talked about how cool Ryan Gosling has become. Between The Fall Guy, Barbie, whatever. You can take that for what you will.
Yeah.
But again, The Gray Man.
Oh, Gray Man was phenomenal.
And then we got back into his history talking about Drive. I got home and I turned on Netflix. I was like, I've got to watch The Nice Guys again.
See, we've got story time.
But oh my God, if you people haven't, we just reviewed it a couple months ago.
Yeah. It
If
wasn't
you
that
have
long
not
ago.
watched The Nice Guys, you have got to. It is an all-time classic. Oh my God, it is still. I've watched it 8 times already.
Did you fall down the hill?
Again. Did you fall down again? Yes, the more you watch it, the more great lines come out of it. It's just ridiculous. Don't say anal and stuff. Just say anal. The cookie jar, John Boy,
John
like
Boy.
the Waltons. It is just
It's brilliantly
literally
written.
along with Hot Tub Time Machine. Those 2 movies, The Nice Guys and Hot Tub Time Machine, are what I would call neo-classics.
Yeah. Brilliantly written.
And they've actually come out
acted.
in the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. They're just brilliant throughout.
Yes. We all grew up in the golden age of movies, Jaws, Star Wars, Die Hard, all those. But you've got to take these newer movies for what they are. And these 2 are the 2 new classics in my eyes. Because I can watch them over and over again.
They would have held up late 70s through the 80s.
Yes.
Here. Easily.
What do you think of this ad? I mean, it makes you look Hispanic, but good to see you started drinking again. It's just brilliant. It's just a brilliant, brilliant movie. Ryan Gosling, awesome. Russell Crowe, awesome.
So good.
Yes.
So good.
Yep. I can't. I'm sorry. I cheated. I cheated, and I'm sorry. But I cheated with The Nice Guys. Wow, that sounds bad.
With the best of intentions.
Yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds bad. I cheated with The Nice Guys, but I had to watch it again. It was just sitting there waiting for me, and I had to watch it. And again, you people out there should know.
If you find a movie that you like, watch it.
In this movie,
watch it again and again.
Oh my God. It is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. But there are also books out there to read.
That's right.
If you can't find a movie like The Nice Guys to watch, you read a book.
And have the movie in your head.
Yes, because that's what a lot of us do. As we read, we kind of project images into the words. That's a great segue, Dave. I like that.
You're welcome.
Because we've talked about this.
Yep.
You and I read a lot of the same series.
Yep.
And who we would have as
play certain characters who we envision.
Yes. And we've talked about the Prey series and the Virgil Flowers series from John Sandford.
Yes.
The latest book in that series is
Judgment Prey.
Yes. Now, of course, initially, the Prey series was just Lucas Davenport, and then he branched one of the minor characters, Virgil Flowers, into his own series.
Yep.
And now
the last 3 Prey books have been a combination of Lucas and Virgil.
Right. Now he's also got Letty Davenport.
Yep.
And she's coming back in. So the next Prey book, Toxic Prey, in 2024 will be a Letty and Lucas.
Yep. A father-daughter tale.
Yep. She's an adopted daughter.
Yep.
So, and then hopefully that means we get a solo Virgil Flowers.
Yes, that should be how it lines up.
But of course, now going back to what you alluded to, I have always pictured, and you'll just rip me apart for this. I have always pictured Virgil Flowers as Chris Jericho, the wrestler. And I know he's supposed to be thinner, but
yeah, but just the description of the hair.
Right. That's what I think does it for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, a thinner Jericho.
Yes, definitely.
Much thinner.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the lanky.
Yeah, if he drops the steroids and
yeah. There you go.
Yep.
All right. Judgment Prey. Minneapolis. A judge and his 2 boys are gunned down in their home. Wife comes home to find the bodies, and miraculously, the baby is still alive.
Yep.
And it becomes a shit show of political proportions, as you can imagine.
Yeah, the story kind of branches off into 2 different levels, 2 different areas.
Yeah.
Um,
You got Virgil and Lucas working their investigation. And then you got the wife and her friend/lover, the 2 females, trying to work it out and do the revenge thing on their own.
but meanwhile, you have another character introduced early who gets all paranoid and worried about a certain financial angle that he's working on. So he takes a turn for the worse and creates another storyline that Virgil and Lucas have to explore.
Yeah. So you got these 3, and then the 4th side, the actual killer and what he's trying to protect. So this is one of the more complex storylines that Sandford has come up with.
Yeah,
and he does a lot of focus. Usually the focus is Lucas and Virgil, the majority, and then the killer that they're trying to track down. This, Lucas and Virgil, you feel, are on the periphery with more focus on the women, the finance guy, and then a little bit of the actual killer.
Yes, completely agree.
It's definitely a change.
Yeah,
it
almost felt to me like, and with Sandford's Prey novels and with Jonathan Kellerman and his Alex Delaware novels, they remind me of the TV show Law and Order sometimes. Where it's a procedural.
Yeah.
You feel like, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, I'm just saying that it's so plot heavy, so plot driven, that, like you said, very well said, by the way, this particular book, Judgment Prey, the plot and the twists and the turns and the motivations of the bad people, the characters, the villains, overwhelms and takes your heroes, Davenport and Flowers, and puts them in the back seat.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works well, and sometimes it doesn't. I think here it works to a point, but I don't feel this was one of the best of Sandford's books. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
No. It's still better than most of what you're going to get from anybody.
Oh, sure. Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, it fell off.
It's open-ended at the end.
It is. It's very open.
You don't get a clean conclusion, a clean resolution.
No, it's open for a revisit for a couple of these characters.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it went a little too far with the female characters.
Yeah, and again, I don't have a problem with focusing on the plot, on the crime, on the, everything that's going on in the investigation on the periphery. You know, you bring in all these other detectives because you've got the FBI, you've got the U.S. Marshals, you've got the BCA involved.
And you've got the local Minneapolis police.
Right. Minneapolis, St. Paul police are involved. So you've got a whole bunch of different characters involved from all these different contingencies. Now, I'm all for that. I don't care. You bring in all these different characters as long as you write it clean.
Deep plot.
Right.
With multiple characters, multiple things going on. I can deal with that.
Right.
And pull it all together.
Right. I just kind of, if I'm reading a book going in about it, I'm expecting Davenport and Flowers
to be front and center.
And I don't get as much of them as I want.
Right.
And you have always talked about how their interactions
the dynamic between the two
is so good.
is so much fun.
Yes. They are awesome. They have so many great lines. Sandford does a great job of splitting his mind and creating those two characters and making them so different. Yet you can tell they care about each other. They're friends, but they give each other shit all the time about everything.
Yeah, even though their interests are very much the same.
Yeah.
But they come at it different ways. Yeah.
And so, in a way, I'm sad to see that the next book will not be Davenport and Flowers again. But again, if he goes and does a Flowers solo, then I'm fine with it.
Right. Because we've had a couple of Lettys finding her way as a new agent.
Right.
We've had Davenport and Flowers solo. Let's do Flowers solo again. Let's get Letty in. But I do want another straight Davenport solo at some point as well.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Harkening back. But the Flowers Davenport together are just so much fun.
Yep. They do have a great, and again, kudos beyond belief to John Sandford for being able to do that.
Yeah.
To take two different characters that he's created and interweave them and bring them back together.
Yeah, with the age difference between the two,
well,
the experiences.
After establishing them both separately.
Yeah.
I mean, he took Flowers from the Prey books and then made him a star on his own.
Yeah.
Let's say a star on his own through how many books? 8, 9, 10 books?
Yeah.
And then he brings them back together again. Just seamlessly.
Yeah.
So I will give Judgment Prey a solid 3 frenzies.
Yep, that's right where I'm at with it. Never a disappointment.
No. And I missed a couple, 3, 4 Prey books in there, got away from them. But when he brought Flowers in, I was like, I'm back in. I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Janet Ivanovich, Dirty 30, the latest Stephanie Plum, Trenton's most famous female bounty hunter. Yes, Stephanie and Lula are back. Good God help the world. This one, there's not really any laugh out loud moments that you get with a lot of the past ones, but you're going to find yourself chuckling throughout. And nothing ever goes right for Stephanie. Her life is a hot mess. She's got her boyfriend, who's a Trenton police detective, and who could be her boyfriend, Ranger, the former bounty hunter who now runs a security service, always there to help her, providing her with cars when hers get blown up. So she's trying to find the bail skip from a robbery of a jewelry store. And the jewelry store owner also hires her to find his former security guard. Mass chaos ensues, lots of double crosses, plot twists. People aren't who you think they are. And of course, Stephanie, in her way, bumbles, and flops her way through. And after years of, nope, Ranger doesn't want to marry her, Morelli, her boyfriend, doesn't want to get married, lo and behold, now everybody wants to get married. Who will she pick? We'll have to wait for 31, whatever the hell Ivanovich is going to call it. So they're fun reads. It doesn't take a brain surgeon, but they're fun and enjoyable. It's a 3. It's one of the better tales. So there you go.
I always find it interesting. Again, we've talked about this in the past with a lot of the books, the series that we read. Especially, we mentioned Jonathan Kellerman and Alex Delaware, and how there's never been any kind of an Alex Delaware movie or TV series. They failed the one time. I guess you would call it a failure.
Yeah,
when
one
they
for the
tried
money.
with Katherine
for-
Heigl,
Yeah.
did not do nearly as well, considering the massive audience that these
Yeah.
books have.
Yeah, men and women alike.
Yeah.
They are fun, lighthearted reads.
Now you've read all of them.
Oh yeah.
Who would you picture being a good Stephanie Plum? Obviously, people didn't resonate with Katherine Heigl.
No, she had the look for it, but not the personality. Who could? Sandra Bullock would have been good.
See, I was going to say, that's what I've heard.
Sandra Bullock would have been perfect.
I've heard a lot of people say Sandra Bullock would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's got that quirkiness to her. Yeah, she would have nailed this big time.
Yep. And again, you and I have talked about, of course, in 2 weeks, roughly, we get the second season of Reacher, Lee Child's iconic character, and we think they finally got it right.
Yeah.
With Alan Rickson as Jack Reacher, as opposed to the diminutive
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. But it's important. You've got to. We
talked
about it earlier.
The character right.
We talked about it visualizing the characters.
NBC effed up the first time with the first Prey book.
Oh, God.
Prey movie on
God.
TV. Eric LaSalle is Lucas Devon.
Yeah.
No. Total miscast. Bad.
You were more tolerable of the second than I was.
Mark Harmon was better, but still did not portray Lucas the way he should be portrayed.
More of a badass.
Yeah.
I could not take Mark Harmon as the badass that I think Lucas Davenport is.
Yeah.
Needed a little bit of a harder edge guy.
Yeah. I mean, my God, he's a former college hockey player.
Yep. And of course, he is, if you've read the books,
he lives on the edge.
He is dark. He suffers through bouts of depression. He literally debates whether or not he will
manipulate
suspects.
The situation to get justice.
He
doesn't care about the law. He cares about justice.
Right. Going back to the book we just read, Judgment Prey, he is posed with that question.
Yeah.
By the wife of the victim, the judge who gets killed early on. Yeah. If it was your wife, your kids, how would you handle it? You're telling me you wouldn't go after the guy with lethal force and kill him? And he kind of said, I don't know what I would do.
We know what you would do.
Yeah.
It would be scorched earth.
Yep. All right, before we wrap up segment 2, one quick movie note. A movie that we both liked here within the last couple years is getting a sequel. The Black Phone. The Black Phone 2 is now officially a go with everybody returning. That will be out June the 27th of 2025.
Nice. That
very, very fun. Creepy, very, very well done movie. Should we put a movie on the slate for next week, or do you want to just play it by ear?
We should probably put a movie on the slate.
Okay. Well, on Peacock this Friday, I don't know how you feel about this. Exorcist Believer. What do you think? You're looking like you got a hemorrhoid there.
Yeah, I wasn't wild about the trailer for it.
Okay.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, because I've got other options.
We could. Do you want to do the Eddie Murphy holiday?
No, you can do that.
Candy Cane Lane.
I'll tell you what. If you want to do Candy Cane Lane, I will catch up, and I will catch up and watch No Hard Feelings. How about that? Because I will have access to that this weekend.
Okay, we can do that, and then we can push The Exorcist back.
That's fine.
I'll have to look at that again.
Yeah. I got to deal with a mediocre movie about the devil versus Jennifer Lawrence's boobs. I'll take Jennifer Lawrence's boobs. Yeah. So you can watch Candy Cane Lane, and I will watch
If
No hard
I get
feelings.
around to it,
Okay.
I might find something better.
Well, if you find something better, go for it.
So we'll see what happens.
All right, kids. So there you go. Segment 2 is over and done, but we still have TV and streaming. Fargo, season 5 to talk about. We have WWE War Games to recap. Even though it wasn't all that great, there was a fantastic ending to War Games, which we'll discuss. A little bit of TV and streaming news, and a bunch of dumbasses for your Uncle Dave.
Here we go.
So
life is good.
You've got one more segment left here, but it's going to be a great one. Dave and I'll be right back. Stay tuned, kids. Stuck in a no-win situation? Wife being held captive while your feet bleed? Take a second to decompress. Pull out your smartphone and listen to Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. And don't forget to check out their Facebook page. The Maestro and the Conquistador will take your mind off your dire predicament and give you the best non-PC sports commentary you'll find anywhere. And once you compose your exit strategy and take down some German terrorists, you'll want to yell, "Yippee-ki-yay, Sports Frenzy 2.0! All right, everybody, third and final segment here, the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. You've got that grease flowing through your veins, hopefully, with the caffeine from the coffee, getting ready to do it all over again on Saturday night. But we're not done with you yet.
Nope, one final segment.
And God help you, if you haven't been watching Fargo over all these years, the outstanding FX series spearheaded by Noah Hawley, shame on you. Season 5 just started. 2 episodes in now. The tricky thing is with it dropping on Tuesday nights and us taping on Wednesday nights,
Makes it a little tough.
Yeah, we're going to kind of be a week behind here.
Yeah.
So even though they're 3 episodes out, we're through the first 2.
Wow. And of course, most of the time it takes place Minnesota, North Dakota, up there in those areas where they kind of talk like this, don't you know?
Minnesota nice. Minnesota nice.
Yeah. So, quirky characters once again.
Yeah, Juno Temple. Oh my God, she's unbelievable as the lead character in this. She's unbelievable.
She is a complete badass who plays a meek, mild housewife and mother.
Yes, and we still have to find out why she is such a badass.
Yeah, we need the full freaking backstory.
She is able to do things that the normal housewife, in terms of Rambo-like tactics, would never be able to do.
Yeah, no, her knowledge of death and destruction is amazing.
Yes, reactions to dire circumstances.
Yeah, she just reacts.
Yep.
There's no hemming and hawing on what she's going to do. She's decisive.
Yep. So that's why this season is looking phenomenal, because you've got this question that needs to be answered. You've got her mother-in-law, Jennifer Jason Leigh, playing the ultimate rich bitch. Yes.
And then John Hamm playing a sheriff of a small town, his own fiefdom, thinking that his wife is missing.
Yeah. Yep. We're not trying to do spoilers here.
No.
So
it's...
But yeah.
This story as it develops is going to get really freaking bizarre.
Yes. And again, this is what makes the Fargo series so great, is somehow each and every season, Noah Hawley figures out a way. Again, they say these are true stories.
Yeah,
that really
everything's
happened.
Based on true stories, and they change the names, but the facts are real.
Yeah. I can't believe
boggles
this
the
happened.
mind.
Especially the way this season starts.
Yeah, like, are you freaking kidding me?
That was surreal. I mean, that was, and I'm not going to spoil. This isn't a spoiler, but the season starts out with basically. It feels like there's been a drug of some sort channeled into this school board meeting or whatever it is, where
Yeah,
they're all beating the hell out of each other, and
yeah,
Juno Temple's character
trying
is
to
trying to get out with her daughter.
and is
It's,
accosted by a teacher, and it's just mass freaking chaos.
Yes, and then we get an incident that happens, again, through no fault of her own because of her reactions. Self-preservation leads into how everything descends into chaos. But, I mean, just that opening scene with these people basically pummeling each other, beating on each other in the middle of a meeting about a play or something going on at the school.
Yeah, and you think, okay, so this is where it's going, and nope, it's just the background.
And you really never got any explanation as to why all those people were just like beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, nothing yet. Yeah. Maybe it'll come into play.
Hopefully.
I want answers.
So far,
fantastic.
Season 5 of Fargo is awesome.
So
now, WWE War Games, yes, wrestling time for the Maestro. Yes, it's now just the premium live events I will discuss. I am cutting back on my wrestling viewing.
Cutting back the weeklies.
Yes. But now overall, this was very boring. A very, very boring premium live event. Very short, though, thankfully. Only 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes. But the very end was where the drama happened. First off, we get the reappearance of the Viper. The apex predator Randy Orton is back after a 1.5 years off. After spinal fusion surgery, we get Randy Orton back. And I love Randy Orton, so very happy to have him back. But the bigger showstopper, scene-stealing headline at the very, very end of War Games. CM Punk is back in the WWE.
I thought he became persona non grata.
Everybody thought that, Dave. This is why it was so unbelievably shocking. Now, of course, War Games happened at the Allstate Arena in Chicago.
His hometown.
Yes, so that's why they brought him out at the very end, even though he got fired from AEW because of a couple incidences where he was abusive physically to other wrestlers.
But did they deserve it?
And he had not been with WWE for over a decade. I give credit to Triple H, Paul Levesque, who, of course, next to Vince McMahon is the head honcho.
Yeah.
Now at WWE, posting on social media afterwards, him and CM Punk caption, "A very, very cold day in hell." And of course, he says something very wise, very smart afterwards. He says, people are asking, the press are asking, why did you bring CM Punk back? He's had such a bad reputation. And Triple H says, basically, it's been 10 years. If you cannot change after 10 years as a person, as a human being, then there's something wrong with you. And I think we've all changed, so that's why we felt we could bring him back. Now, I've got to believe he's on a short leash.
He's got to be. He's
one misstep, one step over the line, he's done. But they've already got something going on with him and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. On Raw this past Monday night, Seth Rollins basically came out, addressed it, and said he's a hypocrite. I'm not happy he's here. So that means that eventually those two are going to go at it for the World Heavyweight title. As Roman Reigns doesn't do anything as a Universal title holder.
What a useless waste of a wrestler.
I don't know what the dynamics are behind the scenes. I don't know why he doesn't wrestle anymore. He doesn't show up anymore. He doesn't do anything anymore. But if he had been doing something they didn't tell him to do, if he'd been doing something wrong, you would think they would fire him, or they would.
Yeah, he would lose it.
So this is by design, I guess. This is by their plan.
This makes zero sense in the overall scheme of wrestling.
Roman Reigns was nowhere to be found at War Games. Nowhere to be found.
He's nowhere to be found anytime.
He wrestles like every 3 months now.
He should be wrestling weekly.
Well, and the thing is, if this wasn't fiction, if this was actual, real, people cared about, he's just tacking on to his record of having that belt.
But it doesn't make any difference the length of time.
Bruno Sammartino wrestled every fucking week.
Yeah. Well, everybody used to wrestle every week.
Yeah.
The title was always on the line.
Literally, Roman Reigns has wrestled for the title, I would say, once in the past 5 months.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He wrestled
pathetic. LA Knight a month and a half ago.
That's pathetic.
Yeah. I agree. And I like pathetic. Roman Reigns. There's something going on behind the scenes. There's got to be. Either he's got a health issue. I don't know what they're trying to pull. They're milking this too much. Yeah, you have got to put your stars out there.
Yeah, this is bad. This is just bad all around.
Yep. All right, we spoke about Noah Hawley, of course, the showrunner for Fargo. Well, Noah Hawley is now one of those people like Yellowstone, Tyler Sheridan, Now, basically, he can run up. He's got how many shows on Paramount? He's got, Mayor of Kingstown. He's got Tulsa King.
Right.
Those are all his shows. So he basically runs Paramount now because,
he's got the golden touch right now.
Right. Noah Hawley seems to have the golden touch with FX because now he's got the green light for an Alien prequel series. Timothy Olyphant has been cast as one of the leads.
Interesting.
So we get to see Raylan Givens versus the Alien. How about that, kids? How about that?
That could be fun.
Yes, but Timothy Olyphant, as they cast this Noah Hawley scripted Alien prequel.
Yep.
Very, very cool there.
Very intriguing. All right. I've got finished up season 2 of Bosch Legacies on Freevee, based on Michael Connelly's character, Harry Bosch. They had 5 seasons on Prime, and then he did the retirement. Now he's a PI. Season 2 is very, very good. The quality is still there. Very good. I highly recommend keeping going with it. And then we've got word that the Bosch universe is expanding a little bit. Renee Ballard, one of the characters he's written in the last couple years that Connolly's brought in, working the night shift. She's teamed up with Bosch on a couple of cases. He's helped her out. She is getting her own show. So it'll keep Welliver going for a little while yet. Does a phenomenal job playing Harry Bosch. So good. So looking forward to that.
All right, let's move on to Moments of Silence. A very, very mixed bag, let's say. And of course, first and foremost, which just happened a few hours ago as we are taping here on the 29th. Of course, this episode hits on December the 2nd. Henry Kissinger has passed away.
Yeah. one of the great statesmen in U.S. politics, 100 years old. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
Francis Sternhagen. Francis Sternhagen. You're going, who? Who? Francis?
Star of stage and small screen.
That's where most of us would know her from. Now, if you see a picture of her, you would know her.
Yeah.
Especially if you're of our generation.
Yep, and watched Cheers on a regular basis.
Yeah, she played Cliff Clavin's mother on Cheers. So thoughts and prayers to the family and friends, Francis Sternhagen. Again, going back to our generation, maybe even younger.
One of the great creators of kids' shows.
H.R. Pufnstuf.
Land of the Lost. Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yep.
Marty Krofft.
Yep.
Has passed away. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
And then, of course, in the world of music, Geordie Walker, guitarist for the influential post-punk band Killing Joke. Now, I remember them because a friend of mine was going through a phase in high school, and he was getting into the whole punk thing.
Yeah.
And he played Killing Joke for me, and they had a song called 80s, which was really kind of a cool song. But Killing Joke's guitarist, Geordie Walker. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him, the Killing Joke family, of course, friends.
Yep. Grammy Award nominee Gene Knight, Mr. Big Stuff singer, has passed away. Thoughts and prayers to her family and friends.
Are you ready to play?
Yes, let's play. Pivot.
Pivot, pivot, pivot.
Pivot to our favorite game show.
Your contestant, as always, this week is your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador Dave Height. I am the Master of Ceremonies, Maestro Kevin Crane. Oh, Maestro. That might come up later.
Foreshadowing, kids.
We have four contestants this week. 4 people for your Uncle Dave to judge. Are they dumbasses or are they not? So let's get into it. Let's start off really easy.
Softball.
Start off easy. Tiffany Haddish, of course, has had a nice little run here recently, become famous, had some decently popular movies. Problem is, she has got a drinking problem. A big-time drinking problem. Tiffany Haddish here over Thanksgiving got her second DUI arrest in 2 years. Both times found asleep behind the wheel.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Now she finally says, I'm going to get some help.
I would hope so.
But I don't like the fact it took this long
for her to realize.
And how many lives she probably put in danger.
On a nightly basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the first arrest was early in 2022. Second arrest, different state, here in November 2023. How many other times has she been behind the wheel,
when
intoxicated?
She shouldn't have been. Just dumbass.
Yes, we're very hard on this, on Sports Frenzy, because we know people who have had their lives severely and tragically impacted by drunk drivers. We don't take it lightly. We don't like it.
No.
We joke about, having a beer or two here and there in the studio or at concerts, but we're always very responsible about how we handle ourselves. And we do not do stupid crap like this.
No.
drink yourself into a stupor. Falling asleep behind the wheel is not acceptable. Okay, remember, I'm gonna need to explain this to your Uncle Dave. A little bit of a lead-in for this one, and he'll get it eventually. Dave, do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Unfortunately.
What was the big problem with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Really, what was the big problem?
The phone a friend.
Well, yeah, but think about it in business terms. Okay, so Who Wants to Be a Millionaire becomes big, right?
Right.
So what do? They say, let's put it on more nights.
Yeah, instead of once a week, let's put it on every night of the week.
So it suffered from overexposure. And now we've kind of seen that with more serious shows, drama, like The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, right? You had The Walking Dead, then you had Fear of the Walking Dead, then you had The Walking Dead, The World Beyond, and now you've got Dead City, and now you've got the one coming out with Rick and Michonne. And so, again, overexposed. Because Hollywood doesn't care as long as it makes money. But they'll destroy a franchise.
Right. They'll beat it to death.
Okay, this is not a joke. This is not Kev being funny, haha. In the works, written by the man who wrote Blue Beetle. The Boys, Mexico, is in the works.
Oh, God. No. No.
I'm not joking.
No.
Yes. A spinoff of The Boys called The Boys, Mexico is in the works at Amazon with the writer of Blue Beetle.
God.
Because, again, it's pandering to a certain
demographic.
Yes.
God.
And now we've already had Gen V, and now we've got they're going to dilute. So basically,
we're going to have the exact same storyline of The Boys taking place in Mexico. There's no point.
Again, they're going to do the same thing to The Boys that they did to The Walking Dead. They're going to dilute the franchise to the point where nobody watches any of it anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good move?
Oh, it's stupid as hell.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Okay, we talked about the Maestro, right?
Bradley Cooper.
I call BS on this. I say he's a dumbass. Here recently, the last couple days, he was on a talk radio show, podcast, whatever. I get them all confused. Some show with a microphone like us. And you know he is a big, big Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Yeah.
But of course, you mentioned the Maestro. He's got this movie, this big prestige movie coming out. He directed it. He stars in it about Leonard Bernstein called Maestro.
Right.
Howard Stern is the man who was interviewing it.
Oh, God. That's bad enough as it is.
No. Yeah, I know. I'm off Howard Stern. But Howard Stern did actually pose a very interesting question to him here recently. And he posed it as what he called a Sophie's choice. Bradley Cooper, you can win Best Actor and Best Director for Maestro. And your co-star, Carey Mulligan, wins Best Actress. Or the Eagles win the Super Bowl. What do you choose? He says, Eagles win the Super Bowl. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. This isn't like the Cubs. You know, if you'd ask a Cubs fan, like a
Yeah.
Bill Murray or an Eddie Vedder back in 2012.
Would you want this award, or would you want them?
They might have taken the Cubs because the Cubs hadn't won in 100 years.
Right.
The Eagles just won.
Not that long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not turning down a Best Actor Oscar and a Best Director Oscar.
You're not going to turn down an Oscar. No, I call bullshit. He's a dumbass.
Thank you. Again, it might be different
if they
hadn't
won.
won. But again, this is not a Boston Red Sox, Chicago Cubs, Detroit Lions type of
White
streak.
Sox, where they haven't won in almost 100 years or over 100 years.
Right. Yeah, the Eagles just won with Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Right? The Philly special.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get greedy, asshole. Take the Oscar and walk away.
Just walk away.
All right, finally. This is typical of our society, our business thinking in this day and age. Last weekend was what, Dave? Last weekend was what? Black Friday.
Black Friday and all the bullshit.
Cyber Monday
and Giving Tuesday. And
Right. So shopping. Now, I've already told you off mic that I didn't think there were a lot of good deals. You know, I usually wait from July on till Thanksgiving to try to buy my movies, and, nothing out there this year. No good deals at all. I spent $30 as compared to $200 like I would normally. Well, but let me ask you this. Wouldn't you want to, if you were selling movies, if you were a company that had a huge monster hit movie that came out right before Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you would want to be prepared for that, right? You would want to be ready to sell as many copies as possible.
You want to have a huge inventory to make sure the demand was met.
And is Oppenheimer not a big movie?
Oppenheimer was a huge movie.
Universal Studios failed to produce enough 4K and Blu-ray discs to get through Cyber Monday.
That is absolutely pathetic.
They had to issue an apology to the retail outlets, Amazon.
What dumbass was in charge of the production that should be fired?
And I can attest to this because I have Oppenheimer sitting in my browsing history on Amazon because I put all my stuff in there to see when the prices drop.
Right.
So I had Oppenheimer in there. I figured it was going to be a while. They definitely sold out before Cyber Monday because you could see it change to you had to basically go to an independent retailer and because it said like 4 offers from $40 up.
Oh God.
On Cyber Monday. And then the next day you saw that Universal issued the apology. We did not produce enough of the 4K and the Blu-ray. We didn't realize. And
how do you not realize?
Well, and everybody in the movie industry said Christopher Nolan's movies always on 4K and Blu-ray. That's what his movies are made for.
Yeah.
That high definition, high quality. You should have known the demand for Oppenheimer was going to be, even if you didn't put it at a good price point, even if it was just $25.
Yeah. You would have made up.
People still were going to buy it, and they ran out by Cyber Monday.
That's bad. That is really freaking pathetic.
I'm running that company. I am pissed off, and somebody's getting fired. All right, kids. Hope you enjoyed it. Your hangover cure for this Saturday, December the 2nd, is over and done.
That's right.
Your Uncle Dave and I got better things to do now.
Yep, sleep.
Rake leaves. Yeah. Yeah. Got to rake more leaves, even though they didn't pick these up because of the snow.
Yep, it's that time of year.
Yeah. Happy, 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 joy, joy, joy.
Yep. But drop us a line. You know the Facebook page. You can check out the sports stuff we have there.
Yep.
Listen to the sports edition on Thursday mornings.
Yep, we've already told you what we're going to be reviewing next week.
Give us some suggestions.
Yeah. We're going to get into the dog days where we're not going to have a lot to review.
Yep. Hey, contact us. Maybe we can set up a Zoom and you can play dumbass or not.
Okay, now you're going too far.
All right.
Now you're going too far. You're going too far. You're the contestant. Now,
Just if
we wanted to bring in
special guest questioner,
Mrs. C or the con man, or Knick Knack, we want to bring them in, that's fine. In studio is fine. We're not doing the Zoom thing.
All right. Sorry, kids.
Uncle Dave.
I tried.
He gets these wild, ambitious ideas.
I tried.
And he doesn't run them by me first.
You want to expand the network.
Not like that. Not like that.
Not until we're getting the big bucks.
All right, kids. We will talk to you in 7 days with your next weekend hangover cure. And of course, as Dave said, a few days before that, if you like your sports. Otherwise, have a great, safe, happy weekend. We will talk to you next week.
Bye-bye, kids. Bum-ba-dee-da, bum-ba-dee-da, bum-ba-dee-da.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather. Happy trails to you until we meet again.